So welcome. So I thought what we'd do to start with is go through all the different ways that we can psychically read a flower. This is broadly, we use the term flower psychometry. Psychometry is sensing the energies of any object. This is a broad term. We are basically psychically reading a flower, or we may be doing healing with it. Now you may think of just one way of reading a flower. If you've obviously interested in this course to find out more about how to do psychic readings with flowers. Now you may or may not have seen, this is my lovely daffodil here. You may or may not have seen somebody doing a reading with a flower before, and you may just think, yeah, we go through the parts of the flower. This is what most people may realize. We learn what the different parts of the flower mean. You may have seen somebody doing mediumship with a flower. Well, in this course, I will go through all the methods I have researched and some things I've thought up myself. I'm drawing on what I like to call ancient knowledge, really. So I've done research in books, in courses, for quite a few years now. This course, it's taken me the best part of a year to put together. You will find that um, I may contradict myself. It may seem a bit jumbled up, but some of it I've recorded back in late summer of last year. Now we're in just before Easter. So I had my studio back last summer. Don't have my studio anymore in the winter. So I was doing the like a lot of late summer autumnal flowers then. In the winter, I was working, and alongside that, I was doing lots of files of things, different things about trees, fruit and vegetables, things that expand on this course, doing a lot of written and voiceovers. And now we're back to filming with the spring flowers for the final part uh, of the course, which is back to front, because we always seem, when we're making courses, we do the first bit last, if that makes sense, because you've done everything, you know what's coming. You may find it a bit jumbled up. I may contradict myself, because a flower can be read many different ways, and I'll talk about this in a minute. So here is my list. Typed out a list which is included in the course, and this is some of the ways that you can read a flower psychically. So first of all, we have the general health and condition of the flower. That makes sense. This daffodil is very, very healthy. Be reading for a person, or yourself, or a group of people even. The better, the healthier it is, the healthier the spiritual health of a person. Um, so first of all, we look at the health, general health. Then I would say using your own personal knowledge of a flower through life experience, gardening, interest in herbal remedies, aromatherapy, etc. So if you a particular expert in daffodils, use that knowledge. Use your experience from when you were a little child, growing up, if you've grown them, or have memories, particularly if you're doing something, if you're a medium, a developing medium. Use anything you know about a flower. If you don't know anything about a flower, that's fine. But if you've got personal knowledge of a flower, use that knowledge. That makes sense. It's self-explanatory. But the big thing for learning really is the colours and the shading. Now, daffodils, different shades. We usually know them as the quite bright yellow ones. This is a bit of a lighter one. So we go through all the different colours in the course. Make a list of your own colours. So what I'm going to encourage you is to make your own meanings for the flowers so you remember them. Each time you work with a flower energy, whether it be actually holding the flower, or seeing a picture, or doing a drawing, or seeing a flower in meditation, getting information from your flower spirit guide, from the nature spirits, what we're all going to practice during this course. Make some notes, write a journal, and once you've learnt about a flower, however way you do it, then it's up here, isn't it? Now, I will say this course is about encouraging you to find your own way with the flowers, to have your own meanings. Books are great, videos are great, courses are great, but we really need to think for ourselves, don't we? So that's what I'm trying to encourage you. So the thing with books and courses, they're all people's own opinions, maybe, perhaps even mine, but it's all very good. But who's to say who is right? There is no right, there is no wrong. So, for instance, if somebody said to you that the daffodil, this is what a daffodil means, and it cannot mean anything else, then if you're getting something completely different about a daffodil, then what you're feeling is correct, isn't it? So we can look at books for the meanings, for the traditional meanings. You may know the traditional meanings, but to learn every single flower from a book or the internet, from Google, off by heart, you're just not going to remember everything, are you? And if you don't feel that that flower means what they're saying, just take no notice. Find your own feeling for the flower. Some flowers we like, some we're not so sure about. So let me think of an example. What would I think? I mean, a lot of people like roses, but some people perhaps don't. So flowers can be associated with love, especially red, but they may upset you. You may not like them. That's probably not a good example, a rose, but I don't know. You will have your own meanings for flowers, and that's what I'm trying to encourage you in this course, to find your own way. And so you remember then, don't you? And it's up here, the knowledge. Then we're also trying to get the knowledge, if you wish, later on from your spirit guides, from the nature spirits, what we call the flower data, because that's what I'm trying to encourage you in this course, to work with spirit, the flower spirits. Okay, so we're looking at the colours and the shading, because this is very simple actually. It's using a lot of colour therapy, colour psychology, which is not a it's not a really difficult thing to do. We just think, oh, red, I'm seeing red, anger perhaps on the negative side, and then perhaps it makes you feel it's the colour of blood, it's the colour of positivity, action on a positive side. So I will give you some examples. That's what we're really going for, and some actual, the actual flowers, and see how it could work in a reading. And then the different shades, course flowers, we get all the different shades, how it can mean, like red into orange, yellow into orange, blue and green into turquoise, all the different, how you would work with the shading to give um, more a sense of, I wouldn't say accuracy, but it's just a little bit different. And then obviously what we all know, the different parts of the flower and their symbolism. Does it have its roots attached? Leaves, buds, petals, the blossoms, all these different things. If it's a rose, does it have thorns? Yeah, so different parts of the flower. We will go through the traditional way of reading the flower, the ages, and all those sort of things as well, which is a very good grounding. And then we have, which you may not realize, we have the flower families, 4 different flower families in nature. We've got the bulbs, and also covered in that is the corms and the tubers. So the bulbs we plant in the ground. We have annuals, which offer a season grown from seed, or the biennials, which come out every other year. Um, Perennials, which come back every year, and the wildflowers. Um, Now, some of these will fall into more than one group. For instance, the perennials can be a wildflower as well. The bulbs can be a perennial as well, for example. Um, this I like to work with a lot. It's one of the simpler, more advanced techniques, and I will show you a spread. We divide these flower cards. We're going pictures. We're going to divide them into 4 different groups, and takes a bit of getting your head around, but it's an interesting exercise. And then we look at the shapes of the petals. This is quite a big topic. Lots of them. We've got like the pointed ones, we've got the drooping ones, we've got the trumpet ones like the daffodil, communication. Oh, there's so many. We've got the cups, sort of, it's almost like a heart type feeling, emotions. And yes, there's all sorts of different shapes of petals, which will give a good grounding. Then we can talk about the roots. The roots, if you've got pulled a flower, particularly out of the woods, or you and the roots are still attached, that we can work with. This can relate to the time when we was born, our childhood, so that can be important if the roots are still attached. So I went into the woods for that, and we did an exercise with we'll do an exercise with that. And then we've got the habitat. Where does the flower come from? Is it a common garden plant? Is it in the woodland? Is it by the sea? Is it by a river side? Is it in the desert? Or is it in the mountains? These can all mean different things. And then we can go through on a guided journey, a guided meditation, and I'm calling it a communion with the nature spirit guide. So we go to meet our flower. So you may think that your favourite flower is going to be your personal flower. So I thought my personal flower was going to be something like an iris, um, or a grape hyacinth, or a bluebell, some of my favourite flowers, or a magnolia. But actually, it was the daffodil. And so this is why I've got the daffodil here today, because it's the spring, and it's like a rebirth, a new start, a rebirth. So and it's also about communication. So this is my like flower guide, my personal flower. It's about spiritual teaching, and for me it's about teaching about the flowers, the spiritual aspect of flowers. So we will go and meet our personal flower, and also our flower spirit guide, our nature spirit guide, which may be, it could be anything. It could be a fairy, it could be an angel, it could even be a gnome, or something presence that we don't even know what it is. But and also some of these guides we might think, oh, that's a bit weird, but it's all like a fantasy type feeling, isn't it? We're just being open to letting our imagination soar, because I've never seen a fairy, and my guide is a fairy, and I've never seen a fairy, so it's just it's just almost like the magic. And then we can just sit out with a flower in nature, observing it, sit in the woods, sit in the garden, and that's a way to read flowers, just observing them, thinking, this is more like communicating with the flower, which we will talk about. Then we've got the channeling the nature spirits, fairies, angels, through writing or speaking. This is a big part of my work, talking, for instance, to the daffodil. And it's just going into a meditation and writing or speaking about it, asking series of questions about what it's here for, how can it help us, how can it help others, and why is it here, what is its purpose. And then we've got a section on auras and auragraphs, auras, I like to call them floragraphs, which is drawing, shading, doodling and writing about the flower's aura. So we'll do a bit of aura work, and just was sent kind of connected. We can do both. We can do it with the writing and the drawing, colouring in. I'm not an artist, so I'll show you simple basic ways that we can work with colour if we wish to. The flowers aura, we can use this with pictures as well, recent pictures, looking at the flowers, sensing the aura. We can do this by hands, and it's more if we cannot see it with our eyes, which most of us probably won't be able to start with. We're sensing the colour, and we're perhaps colouring in or writing or drawing pictures, which can give information, which kind of goes along with the writing as well. And then we can do scrying with water. So we're just dropping small flowers and petals into a bowl of water, seeing how they move and what shapes they form. And we can do a reading like that. We're going to make a flower or a petal mandala. So the act of mindfulness and all the patterns that the petals make, we can do a reading like that. Can give you a lot of information about yourself. And then, as I said, sensing a flower's energy through a hands or a pendulum. So if you are a healer, if you do anything like Reiki, then you'll be used to working with energies like that. But using a pendulum, you will see this was part of the course that didn't work so well for me, or rather it worked too well. I used it with some actual flowers in a row, and then some oracle cards, some pictures of flowers, and it was just going mad. It didn't want to give me an answer the questions. I was working with the flowers for each season, and it was just going mad. This I found a bit tricky, but it was probably the day I was doing it, but that was made me laugh, that section of the course. And then we'll learn about the elementals. So these are like the flower, the nature spirits attached to fire, earth, water, and air plants. So, for instance, we have the what's it called? Red hot poker relates to like the fire plants. An earth plant would be one on the ground, in the woods, something like a bluebell. The water plant would be something like a marsh marigold, and the air plants would be something like up on the hilltop, like an alpine, like an edelweiss, or even a dandelion blowing its seeds about in the wind. And then we work with the seasons, the changing colours, the cyclical cycle of nature of growth, decay, and rebirth. So we start off with the snowdrop, and then we go through to the very last flower. So we're going through the seasons, we're looking how it warms up. We have the green of spring, the yellow like to work through the rainbow really. The orange is getting hotter, then we've got the red, and then we're going to the brown of autumn. We talk about the harvest and things like that. The snow and the snowdrop popping through again, the cycle of rebirth. Look at festivals and celebrations, Valentine's, Mother's Day, May Day, Easter, the harvest, the pagan festivals, and the crafts traditions associated with each. So you can work in this way. What Valentine's flowers, Mother's Day, all these things mean, and the traditional pagan festivals, if like making wreaths and all these things that you could use in your knowledge, that you could learn about to use in addition to your readings. And then we can work with flowers associated with chakras, colours and well-being. There's a chakra flower meditation in the course, and this is very much related to the colours, like the lavender of the brow, the third eye, lavender flower and the colour purple, things like that, and how we can work with it and get ourselves in balance that way. That's very much on a healing basis. And then there's an interesting bit, well, probably my favourite bit, we're making grids. Got on the floor with this with a circle and sections using like career, love, relationships, family, spiritual, hobbies, and I placed a flower in each section. Could also do that with flower oracle cards, and then we move it about and see how it changes. So what would a red rose mean in a work situation, for instance, but if we moved it to the love situation, it'd have a different meaning. And also the what the health of the flower is. If the red rose didn't look very well in the love relationship area, that could mean something as well. And then we have what I call a flower, I don't really know what to call it, a flower arrangement reading. And this is a bunch of flowers specially selected. The middle flower is you, for the person you're reading for. And this is for people around you, or if you are a medium, developing medium, you can work with the ancestors. Even if you aren't a medium, then you could still work with the ancestors, the different flowers, flower placements. We read each singular flower or group of flowers in relation to the whole arrangement, and it brings through information about people here and people that have passed on. Very, very profound reading. There is an example of that. And then we're going to look at literature, poems. For instance, the well-known thing is Shakespeare, and then we've got Wordsworth, I wandered lonely as a cloud, which relates to the daffodil. If you are a literary minded person, you like reading books or writing, this could appeal to you. This is from the masters, the classics like Shakespeare and Wordsworth, but also modern quotes and also things, the flower fairies. I've got a nice book about that. So we'll have a look at that. We've got using photos, postcards or sketching. If fresh flowers are not available or out of season for flower oracle spreads. Can be used with any divination tool such as tarot, flower oracle decks, general oracle decks. I've got a large section in the course on flower oracle reading. So we're doing spreads. We're doing spreads with flowers as well, fresh flowers, but spreads we have using other things, layering up with things like tea leaf reading charms, tarot cards. What else have we got? Yes, we've got all sorts of different divination tools we can use to add on ribbons as well, add on to flower oracle readings, and I've got a special section on the language of flowers and love readings, because the flowers are particularly useful for love readings. So, did you know that that was all the different, some of the ways you can psychically read a flower? So that is the reading part. Then I've also extended it. Of course, I don't know when to stop. We've got to start with, because of the roots of the flower, I started thinking about trees. So I've got like a small tree section where we do a family tree on a tree. I'm obsessed with genealogy, by the way, but this kind of relates to I thought that might be good, you know, with the roots of the childhood and then going back in the past, if you're interested in your ancestors. Also looking at manifestation, we'll be looking at a bit of so the manifestation, we're looking at what I'm calling the fruits of the earth. So I'm looking at fruit and vegetables, looking at berries, looking at seeds, the life cycle of the plant and everything like that. So you, if you want to extend your knowledge to herbs and fruit and veg, for instance, if you was looking at an oracle card, a general oracle card or a tarot card, and you start to see things, pumpkins, a pumpkin on it in the harvest, you could use that in conjunction with your flower readings, your flower oracle readings. So yeah, I'm encouraging you to expand your knowledge a bit further than manifestation, house plants. So that's good for, you know, like changing the atmosphere around you in your home or office. And then what else have we got? We've got a bit of edible flowers, some recipes, and some spell work. Just a bit of fun with the spell work there. All about using flowers, a bit about healing as well. So a bit, yeah, a bit of healing, manifestation, making flowers be your best friend and work for you. So that is basically, I just wanted to say about the different ways to psychically read a flower and just explain about what I'm trying to achieve in the course. So a bit of a ramble there, a very long ramble, but shall we get on with it now? Okay.